Ever feel like you're looking into a new field and you
Definitely.
just want someone to tell you what really matters? Like cut through the noise.
Skip the fluff and get to the core ideas.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we're aiming to do for you today. Consider this your shortcut into the world of UI/UX.
Yep, we're diving into user experience, or UX. We're going to pull out the essentials from 4 really foundational concepts. These are basically the building blocks.
Right, the absolute building blocks. And we've looked at some great introductory stuff, perfect if you're just starting out or need a solid refresher. The 4 areas are flow,
Logic.
behavior,
And user research.
and honestly, understanding these isn't just, jargon. It's crucial.
Yeah.
It's what makes those apps and websites feel seamless, right? The ones you actually enjoy using.
Absolutely. It's like trying to build a house on shaky ground if you don't get these fundamentals. So our mission here is simple. Extract the key takeaways on flow, logic, behavior, and user research.
Give you a really solid grasp of what they are, why they're so important in UX design, but, keep it clear and straightforward.
Exactly. No getting bogged down.
Okay, let's jump in. First up, flow. So when we talk about flow in UX, what are we really saying?
Well, it's essentially the path, the journey a user takes to get something done in a product, like on a website or an app.
Okay, so like a map guiding them.
That's a great analogy, yeah. A map. And understanding this map is super important. Why? Well, first, efficiency.
Making it quick and easy.
Right, getting them to their goal without hitting unnecessary walls. It also helps us pinpoint where things get tricky, where users might just give up.
The dreaded drop-off point.
And it's also key for communication within the team, designers, devs. Everyone needs to be on the same page about how it should work. A good flow just removes friction.
Makes sense. And interestingly, I read somewhere that users sometimes prefer a slightly longer flow if it's clearer, rather than super short but confusing.
That's actually true. Perception of effort is huge. Clear signposting, even if it adds a step, can feel easier than a shortcut that makes you pause and think too much.
So this flow, this map, it's not just an idea, right? People visualize it.
Oh, definitely. We use flowcharts, diagrams. Sometimes they're simple screen sequences, other times much more detailed, like wire flows.
Wire flows, right? Those combine the basic layout with the actual path arrows. Are those just for the design team? Or can they help us as users sort of see the plan?
They're mainly tools for the team, yeah, for visualizing and talking about the intended experience, but the result of mapping that out well is what makes it feel intuitive for you, the user.
Okay, so when designing a flow, what goes into it?
You've got to think about everything. Where does the user start the entry point? What are the steps they need to take? Any decisions they have to make?
Like choosing an option.
Exactly. And then how do they finish? The exit or the success screen. Crucially, you also need to plan for, well, when things go wrong, the error paths.
Ah, right.
Yeah.
Like what if they enter their password incorrectly? You need a path for that.
Precisely. You have to account for those bumps in the road.
Can you give us a concrete example, something we'd all recognize?
Sure. Think about booking a movie ticket on an app. The flow might be open app, find movie, pick time and seats, pay, get ticket. Simple.
Okay, yeah.
Now imagine a bad flow. Maybe after picking the movie, you have to hunt through 3 weird menus to find showtimes.
Yeah.
Or the payment asks for your shoe size. That's friction.
Gotcha. Annoying friction.
Or like an e-commerce app. Homepage, product page, forecart, checkout, pay, confirmation. Ideally, very clear steps.
That makes it really clear. It's anticipating those steps, making them logical.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I also heard there are different types of flows. Task flow versus user flow.
Yeah, that's a useful distinction. A task flow is usually more focused, more linear, like filling out one specific form. Step A, B, C, done.
Yep.
A user flow is generally broader. It can cover multiple paths the user might take with different choices along the way. Think about a social media app. You could be browsing, searching, posting, lots of potential user flows there.
Right, more complex journeys.
Yeah.
And it feels like those calls to action, the buttons like buy now or sign up, they're critical guideposts in these flows.
Absolutely critical. A clear, well-placed CTA tells the user exactly what to do next to keep moving towards their goal. It keeps the momentum going.
So summing up flow then. Good flow means efficiency, fewer people giving up, happier users.
Exactly. And bad flow. Confusion, frustration, abandonment. Simple as that.
All right, that's flow mapped out. Let's shift gears to logic. Now, logic in UX, we're not talking like philosophy class logic, are we?
No, not quite. It's more about the underlying rules of how the system works, how it responds. Does it make sense? Is it predictable?
Predictable. That seems key. You want the app to behave how you expect it to. I read something interesting that good logic is often invisible until something breaks. It just feels like common sense when it works.
That's a great way to put it. It's the if I do this, then the system does that reasoning. It needs to feel coherent and match what users expect based on, well, how things usually work.
Why is that predictability so vital?
It builds trust, fundamentally. When things work as expected, you don't have to think so hard. It reduces cognitive load. Good logic also means clear feedback.
Letting the user know what's happening.
Like a little loading spinner or a success message or even a clear error message explaining what went wrong. You need that confirmation.
Right. You need to know your click actually did something.
Exactly. And logic is also huge for preventing errors in the first place.
How so?
Well, like maybe disabling a submit button until all the required fields are filled out correctly.
Okay. Proactive error prevention.
Or if an error does happen, providing clear instructions on how to fix it, not just error 404.
Definitely not helpful.
Then there's information architecture IA. That's all about the logical organization of content. If you can't find stuff, the logic of the structure is probably off.
So it's the invisible structure, the thinking behind the interface. Can you give some examples of this logic in action?
Sure. Form validation is a big one. Is that email address actually an email address? Does the password meet the strength rules?
Okay, yeah.
Or conditional logic, like only showing shipping options after you've put in your address. Makes sense, right? Search result relevance is logic. The structure of navigation menus is logic. Even password strength meters involve logic.
So it's all these rules running behind the scenes, making it smooth on the surface.
Pretty much. Logic connects your input, what you do, to the system's output, how it responds. It involves mapping out all the different states an element can be in. Empty, loading, error, success.
And how it moves between them.
Right. Take a notes app. The logic handles navigating the sidebar, opening a note when you click it, moving deleted notes to trash with an undo option.
And maybe stopping you saving a totally blank note.
Yeah, exactly. It should probably give you a little warning or just not allow it. That's logical behavior.
Got it. So good logic feels intuitive, reliable. Bad logic.
Users lose trust fast. If a button does different things randomly or errors are cryptic, people get frustrated and leave. Solid logic is absolutely foundational.
Okay, foundation laid. Next up is behavior. This sounds like how the product reacts, maybe even adapts.
That's a good way to think about it, yeah. Behavior in UX is how the product responds to you. It includes things like animations, feedback, even personalization that changes over time based on how you use it.
And why focus on behavior specifically? How does it help?
Well, first off, it helps check if the flows and logic we designed actually work for real people. Observing behavior shows us where users struggle or get confused those pain points.
So it validates the design.
Validates it or shows where it needs fixing. That data is gold for making improvements. Plus, understanding behavior helps us tap into users' existing mental models.
Their expectations of how things should work.
Exactly. If the product behaves in a familiar way, it feels more intuitive. And finally, behavior gives us concrete metrics to measure success. Are people actually using that feature? Are they completing the task?
So it's about observing, analyzing, and then improving. How do we actually study user behavior? What are the methods?
Oh, there are quite a few. Usability testing is a big one, watching people try to use the product. Then you've got analytics tracking clicks, page views, how long people stay. Heat maps show where people are clicking or tapping most.
Like a weather map for clicks.
Kinda, yeah. Session recordings let you watch anonymized playback of user journeys. A/B testing compares different design versions to see which works better.
Testing option A against option B.
Right. And of course, good old surveys and feedback forms give you direct input from users about their experience.
It sounds like a mix of watching what they do and asking them what they think. And you mentioned behavior is complex.
Oh, absolutely. It's influenced by psychology, their context, like are they stressed on a tiny phone screen? And of course, the design itself. That complexity is why you need to keep studying it. It's never really done.
Could you give some examples of behavior in an app?
Sure, think of a music app. You tap play, the button might light up or change shape slightly. That's feedback.
A visual cue.
Right. Swiping between tabs might have a smooth sliding animation. That's a transition. Helps you keep track of where you are. Adding a song to a playlist might trigger a little tick animation.
A micro interaction.
Exactly. Those little details. And over time, the app learning your tastes and suggesting music, that's adaptive behavior, personalization, even a like button that does a little bounce when you tap it, that's designed behavior.
So these small reactions make it feel more alive, more responsive. But I guess too much could be messy.
Definitely. Well-done behaviors enhance usability, make it feel polished, even delightful sometimes. But overdo it, make it inconsistent, and it just becomes confusing noise. It's all about balance and purpose.
Finding that sweet spot. And you mentioned psychology, like users scanning pages in an F shape.
Yeah, eye tracking studies show that pattern a lot on web pages. People scan headlines, then the first few words of lines. Knowing that helps you place important stuff where eyes naturally fall.
Interesting. And leveraging existing habits like swiping.
Totally. People are used to swiping left-right on phones now. If it makes sense for your navigation, use that learned behavior. Don't reinvent the wheel unless you have a really good reason.
Fascinating stuff. Okay, that leads us perfectly into our final concept, which feels like the bedrock for everything else. User research.
Absolutely the bedrock. You nailed it. User research is, well, systematically investigating your target users, understanding their needs, why they do what they do, their pain points, the context they're in.
So figuring out who you're designing for before you design anything.
Exactly, before you draw a single screen or map out a flow.
Why is that so critical? I mean, can't designers just use their intuition? It seems tempting to just start designing.
It is tempting, but it's risky. The biggest reason for research: avoiding assumptions. We as creators are not the user usually. Our needs, our tech savviness, it's often different.
Right, designing for yourself isn't the goal.
Research grounds everything in reality, not guesswork. It helps you find the real problems people have, the real needs you can meet. It validates your ideas early on. Are you even solving the right problem?
Is you building something nobody wants?
Precisely. It builds empathy for the user, which leads to better designs. And honestly, it reduces risk. Less wasted time, less wasted money building the wrong thing.
De-risking the whole project, essentially. What kind of methods are we talking about for user research?
There's a whole toolkit. User interviews are great for deep dives, getting rich qualitative insights, the why.
One-on-one conversations?
Yep. Surveys and questionnaires let you reach more people, gather quantitative data, the what and how much, alongside some qualitative feedback. Usability testing, which we touched on with behavior, is research too, seeing if people can actually use the thing.
Watching them interact.
Contextual inquiry is observing users in their own environment, seeing how they work or live naturally. Card sorting helps figure out how people group information mentally vital for navigation.
Like sorting index cards?
Sort of, yeah. Analyzing existing analytics data is research. Creating user personas, those fictional character profiles based on research.
Like Sarah the Budget Traveler.
Exactly. Personas keep the user front and center. And user journey mapping visually charts their experience step by step, including their emotions and pain points.
Wow, quite a range of tools. And it's not just a one-time thing at the start, is it?
Definitely not. It's often iterative. You do research upfront to define the problem, understand the audience. Then later you might do usability testing on prototypes to refine the solution. It happens throughout the process.
Adapting as you learn more.
Yeah.
And you mentioned qualitative versus quantitative research.
Yeah, important difference. Qualitative is about the why, understanding motivations, opinions, experiences. Think interviews, observations. You get rich, deep data from fewer people.
Okay.
Quantitative is about the what and how many, measuring things numerically. Think surveys with rating scales, analytics data. You get statistical insights from more people. Often you use both together for a full picture.
Combining the depth and the breadth. Can you walk us through that travel app example again, focusing on the research?
Sure. So for the travel app, maybe you start with interviews, talk to frequent travelers about booking frustrations. That's qualitative.
Finding the pain points.
Then maybe a survey to a larger group. What features do they value most? How much would they pay? That's quantitative.
Getting the numbers.
From that, you build your persona. Sarah, the budget-conscious traveler. Then map her journey. Searching for flights, comparing prices, booking where does she get stuck or feel anxious.
Visualizing her experience.
And finally, build a prototype and do usability testing. Watch people like Sarah try to book a flight on it. Find the glitches, the confusing bits.
Testing the actual design. That really ties it all together. So user research basically ensures you're building for real people, avoids costly mistakes, and helps make something people actually, well, like and use.
Yeah.
Designing in a vacuum is the alternative.
Exactly. You're just guessing otherwise.
Wow. Okay, this has been incredibly insightful. We've covered flow, logic, behavior, and user research. It's really clear how they all link together, isn't it?
They absolutely do. You can see the chain. Research informs the flow and the logic. The logic enables the behavior. Observing the behavior feeds back into more research. It's a cycle.
A continuous loop of improvement, ideally.
And the common thread.
designing for the user.
Yeah.
Always coming back to who are they and what do they need to do.
That's the core of it all. Keep the user at the center, and you're on the right track to creating something meaningful.
So a little challenge for everyone listening.
Mm-hmm.
As you use your apps and websites today, maybe pay closer attention. Ask yourself, how's the flow? Does the logic make sense? How does it behave? What research might have gone into this?
Yeah, actively notice the UX around you is a great way to start seeing these principles in action everywhere.
And maybe think about which of these areas, flow, logic, behavior research, sparks your interest the most. Could be a clue for where you want to learn more.
Definitely food for thought.
Absolutely. Well, the big takeaway, understanding these foundations, flow, logic, behavior, user research, is just essential for building digital experiences that work well and feel good to use. Thanks so much for joining us on this deep dive.